back in 2015, Cardiff University were really visionary in their thoughts for what this building could be. And it's bringing together practitioners, researchers and industry all together into one space to become the first social science research park in the world.
This is a 12,000 square metre building that it's kind of organised in two different functions. So we have the work and the play, and they sort of respond differently according to the size of the functions that happen inside. The play one is all about the engagement with the public, selling and promoting the research of social sciences happening within the building. So whatever is placed and developed inside of this is sort of promoted to the community, business and the local community in the auditorium at the play box as well.
It's very much positioned as the university's front door to business and wider society. If we start on the ground floor, it's very much a public space. I think we're very conscious that we want to connect with our local community and to provide a space for them to come in and engage, as well as our wider colleagues around the university and our partners. So we have a public space on the ground floor with a fantastic event space for sort of TEDx style events.
So right at the beginning, Hawkins Brown were really keen to understand the users and their aspirations, and we do this by kind of fortnightly meetings, really getting to understand them, coming to Cardiff, coming to see their existing facilities. And then we also start to tease out the brief by go and do some building visits and benchmarking to look at similar facilities, to understand their likes and dislikes, but also actually understanding what they're like as people, and really getting to understand the research they're trying to do in this building, because at the end of the day, this building is for them, and we want to cultivate some really great collaborative environments for them to produce even better research and the interdisciplinary research that this building can create.
We've based our designs in activity-based working, and that's basically kind of a science behind designing spaces that allows the user to have the empowerment of choosing the space where they actually want to work. So it sort of responds to various different activities that they complete throughout the day, being from more quiet and introspective kind of research to the more collaborative kind of element. So the scale of the furniture and the space that surrounds it within the building varies a lot from place to place to actually respond to those functions. So it has been quite interesting to actually develop that with the users themselves, but also the furniture kind of designs too. You'll see that that relates as well with the kind of locations of the Oculus staircase behind me, and that sort of responds to a more collaborative and social space near this point of the building, whether it starts being a bit more quiet as you go further away.
Oh, I think you're looking at the best feature there, it is got to be the Oculus, and that's very much sort of within the, I suppose, the ethos of the building is this sort of connector and this sort of spiral of collaboration, I guess. So I think this is the standout facility for me within the building.
The Oculus staircase is a sculptural staircase and a feature that connects every single floor in the building. It starts from the ground floor, which is what we call a TEDx kind of social stairs site, and that helps with the auditorium kind of way and the communication within the building. And then it continues up every single floor on a slanting void, circular one that changes from sizes as you go up the building. That basically connects every single more collaborative and interactive kind of points at the center of the building in every floor plate, and sort of reduces in sizes as you go up the building, reflecting the kind of more formality side of the research done in-house as well. At the very end, it stops at a skylight, so the actual sunlight comes and penetrates the building all the way down and sort of activates the research done in-house.
Unlike a traditional staircase where you've got the stairs are installed in a stair core, one above the other, these are actually about, as I said, 11 to 12 meters long. They're actually 8 ton in weight, and they're all offset from each other. And so the challenge with that is basically trying to coordinate with all the construction and the different consultants and supply chain in order to install it. So we had the Taunton Fabrication that did the actual manufacture of the stairs. They had their own temporary works designer. We had a RC frame construction that was done by 4D Structures. They had their own temporary works design. We brought involved with a technical department of Bouygues UK, with us all coordinating to ensure that we actually got the right methodology for installing it.
This was the first project we were able to use Dynamo on, and we use this for a number of things. So firstly, of the design of the Oculus, the setting out and design of the facade, as well as a large number of BIM automation tasks. as you can imagine, trying to visualize a space like this just off of 2D plans, especially if that's not the world you live in, is quite a challenge. And so we were able to just hook up the laptop with a video game controller, allow the client to walk around the space and visualize it, again with a virtual reality headset, and so they could really feel the space in the design process. And it just really helped them see the vision and buy into the overall design of the whole SBARC building. Dynamo is Autodesk's visual programming platform, and it allows you to feed in code-based instructions into Revit that either allow you to automate slow tasks or help you solve complex design challenges.
This was the whole challenge on the project, was fundamentally how we were going to install these stairs. So initially at tender stage, they had a methodology which they were going to install it very similar to you install escalators in a shopping mall, where you have a spider crane on one side and one end of the other, and it get lifted into position. And that would have been done after the project. But as you can see, we had to do back propping during the construction, and that would have basically stagnated quite a lot of the floor space. So we decided we needed to look at another way of doing this. And we thought, well, what we would do is come up with, to install it, the stairs as the frame gets installed. So the RC frame gets installed. So we came up with the thought of we would install a temporary H frame that literally was at the end or the top end of the stair. And with doing that, we were able to basically ensure that the stairs were actually lifted onto this H frame. But the challenge with that as well is that you put a H frame in, it had to be lifted into place onto this H frame, and also then kept above the actual RC frame, build all the formwork around the stair itself, and then after the slabs reach the required strength, would basically lower that down. So we devised through Taunton Fabrication a H frame that would ensure to allow us to build that. That was being looked at through Bouygues technical department. We used through Arup, which is the design consultants which Taunton Fabrication used, and between them they came up with this system to allow us to actually install it. And you know, what was great about it as well is that we did a lot of off-site planning. So the stair had been manufactured. I went down to Taunton Fabrication and we actually did a completely full mock-up of it beforehand. So we were able to plan it down to the absolute minutiae, even to the point that the health and safety, when we were using the actual safety lines on the trailer that was going to be used, we found that the bolts didn't quite fit. And if they had come to site and they wanted to install the stair on that particular date, it might not have worked and we might have been delayed. And that has obviously an impact onto the program as well as the health and safety, so it was really critical doing that. Oh, and what was great about it as well, so we installed it, and actually on the day when it came in, it actually landed within millimeters and actually went actually like clockwork, so it was really good.
The original sort of design intent of the building was absolutely about flexibility and collaboration at its core, so it was designed very much with that in mind. So every floor we've got sort of a central T point, lots of social and shared spaces without it, and that within the building, and that's really, really important to us. And I think a lot of what we're trying to create is based on physical proximity and co-location, because that's where we believe new opportunities, new collaborations can happen. And so the design of the building and the spaces within the building really meet our requirements.
So the building massing is actually responding to the context. We thought about it quite carefully in order to respond to the scale of the buildings nearby. We have a rail line towards the south of the plan, which allows us to grow a little bit and actually provide all the office spaces along this part of the building. Whilst the event space is a much more transparent and lower scale building that communicates with the same scale as the housing on the other side. And that also sort of keeps this connection with the public square space, which is basically the main entrance for this new innovation campus that exists for Cardiff University. The facade itself, in terms of the sizes of the windows and the panels, it's not arbitrary as well, so that's something that we've studied carefully and modeled it carefully as well. You'll notice that the sizes of the windows are larger as you come closer to the Oculus. So that's also translating the activities happening inside the building, and it's sort of like more collaborative and interactive part of what's happening inside being visible to the outside as well. We've also modeled every single panel and every window to like specific sizes and would reduce waste as well.
So rather than being sort of unitized cladding, it's actually built up of a SFS, which is a cladding and a curtain wall system. But the curtain wall is a stick system with a glass and glazing, as well as an EPDM. So there's thousands of different elements that have been installed. So the challenge with it, obviously, is it's a bit weather dependent. Put in EPDM, sticking it back to the facade, putting the glazing in, as well as installing the cladding, because there's so many different components.
We use Dymo to set out each and every one of the close to 4,000 facade panels, as well as control their material finish. So we developed scripts that would change the colour of each panel the further away the panel was from the Oculus. Without Dymo, this would have been an incredibly slow task, and this really allowed us to do lots more design iteration and have a much higher level of coordination at an early stage in the project.
I personally haven't worked on a building project before. I've always been very passionate about what's going to happen inside the building, and I've been blown away by how the importance of the partnership, how all our different stakeholders have come together with Bouygues, with Hawkins Brown, the architects, and Arup, and the nature of the relationship and the collaboration we've had with all of our stakeholders has been absolutely essential to getting us to where we are.
In the end of the day, it's all about the users, and whenever we see the spaces being actually occupied by the people, that's the best moment, and that's what we look out for.
So it's been so exciting seeing it come together, and a great project to be involved in.
As I say, I've been from the very, very beginning when we started doing the first excavation, the piles going in, all the remediation works, taken from an old railway site, the disused railway site with contaminated land, and actually to see what it is today. We've got a great sort of 7 buildings here with all the landscaping that's going to be going in. It's going to be a big asset to the Cardiff University, and that's really, really good.
COVID has had a huge impact on society, on public services, on mental health and well-being, and these are precisely the challenges that will be addressed by the social science researchers in the building, co-located with our partners, working together to find solutions to these problems and recovery from the pandemic. I'm so excited every time I come in here and see it developing, and I'm just so excited and just can't wait to get in the building, really.